What is working currently? It's always different. Depends on who the target audience is. I don't think that there's any one broad stroke that you can use to kind of paint folks with.
Welcome to Built in Vegas, the podcast where we spotlight the stories, strategies, and resources behind the businesses that make Vegas thrive. Whether you're starting up or scaling up, you're in the right place. Brought to you by the Video Podcast Studio.
Off camera, we're kind of already talking how you kind of fell into this role of entrepreneurship, but was entrepreneurship ever something that you grew up wanting to do, or how did you kind of get into the field of business and where you're at now?
Yeah, so it's not something that I had ever considered for myself. Being in marketing was often sitting across the table from, small business owners, entrepreneurs, talking to them about how to grow, launch, and scale their business, but never thought about it for myself. So grew the agency in both in scale and revenue for a number of years, stepped away to have a short stint in the nonprofit world for a couple of years during COVID, and then I ended up coming back. After I came back, again, was in an operator role and got the opportunity to take on ownership. One of the partners exited the business, and they asked me if I wanted to step in and become an owner. And I thought, absolutely. But it's very different being an owner from being an operator. The sense of responsibility is so much greater, and it's so much more emotional in terms of the day-to-day decisions that go into it. It's wild.
What are some of the biggest changes going from operator to owner-operator?
Yeah, I think the sense of responsibility is probably the biggest one. I certainly had a sense of responsibility for my team before and how I was managing them, but I'm literally responsible for their livelihoods now, so that's incredibly emotional. And one of the things that I was really excited about stepping into ownership was there's no one to tell me no now. And the flip side of that is there's no one to tell me no now. So, it's a double-sided coin. I'm assuming all the risk for all of my decisions, which is exciting and scary at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think one of the scariest things about trying to grow a business is hiring people and then knowing that I have to make X amount so your families can eat and I'm responsible for that. That's scary to me.
Yeah.
It's something new for me. I had a small stint where I had a few actual employees, lasted about 6 months. I made horrible choices with who I hired, how I hired. I wasn't the right leader. We had nothing in place, no systems, no processes, right? So it was doomed to fail from the beginning. And then now with building the studio, it's okay, we need to hire people. This is a business that's designed to function as an actual company. And it's scary. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to commit this to you. And then it's I have to figure out how to do that. And I have to pay you before I can pay myself. And I still got to take care of my own family.
Yep. Something I've really learned over the past year is hire slowly and fire quickly. Pretty quickly when you've made a hiring mistake and someone's not the right fit, either from skill set perspective or culture. I really learned a lesson this year. I held on to someone who was a wonderful human being, but the skill set wasn't there much longer than I should have. And the result of that was, months later, I was still cleaning up messes that I should have resolved earlier on. So yeah, hiring and firing, a huge part of that.
Yeah, that's been a very common thread from the conversations I've had.
Yeah.
And especially with smaller businesses, right? Because everyone becomes family. And what you just said is the same thing I say all the time. Oh, they're such a good person though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did everything wrong and I'm redoing everything and clients aren't happy. But they're just such good people. We'll figure this out.
A good human. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a good human. And it really is difficult to I feel like firing is just so difficult when you're the one doing it.
The paradigm shift for me was, if you know it's not a good fit, cut the cord and let them move on to something else, because if it's not a good fit for you, it's not a good fit for them either, right? Let them move on and find whatever the next thing is. Yeah. Yeah,
that's a good way to look at it. What's been maybe the hardest thing about falling into this entrepreneurship role with ownership?
not having anyone to bounce high level decisions off of. Like I said, there's no one to tell me no, but there's also no one to tell me no when I have a terrible idea. So I found that really building my peer group has been important. People who do the same thing as me in other markets, and also having peer business leaders, regardless of whether they're in the same space as I am or not, they're experiencing the same types of issues, right? With fluctuations in business, with hiring and staffing, with the costs of goods going up. Tariffs, for example, was another recent one. So just having those people that I can, the friend group that I can phone a friend and ask them if they're having a similar situation to work through, that's been really powerful for me.
Yeah. I know you know a lot about marketing. So I kind of want to dive into that a little bit.
Yes.
Where do you feel like most businesses struggle when it comes to marketing?
Yeah. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is not a strategy. You have to have a really good idea of, what your business plan is, what your niche is, what your competitors are doing so that you can differentiate yourself. And then once you find your niche, really lean into that. You cannot be all things to all people. You have to focus on your target audience and what you're going to deliver to them. When you get too broad, you fall into this trap where you end up competing on price, which no entrepreneur or small business owner wants to be in that position.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the worst things is we had a conversation the other day and the guy was like, asking me about my prices. And he's like, well, this place is this and that or whatever. And I was like, okay, then go there. He's like, well, no, I want you to, convince me why I should come here. I was like, look, I actually recently heard this on I don't know if it was Alex Hormozy or some other podcast where it was like something similar happened to them. And he basically just said, if you already aren't convinced about working with me, then this isn't a good fit.
Yeah.
And that's basically what I told the dude too. And I was just like, look, if you don't already know why you should be here and why you should work with us and what makes us different, then we're not the right fit for you.
Values alignment is incredibly important because everybody has, core customers that are most profitable for them, are most frequent for them. When you think about your marketing strategy, you always want to think about your best and worst customers. Your worst customers, those are the ones that suck your soul dry, right? They don't spend enough. They drain your resources. You have to be conscious of who those are because you don't want every customer in the book. You want the ones that are the best for you, and values alignment, I think, is a big part of that.
And I think it's harder when you're small and new. One, because you get excited about everything. Like, oh, yeah, this could be a good oh, they have all these connections. Oh, I'll get exposure, right, or whatever, especially like in the services field. But I feel like that's just like one of the journeys of entrepreneurship that everyone has to experience and go like, oh, yeah, I shouldn't work with people like this. But it's hard when you need the money. When you're first starting out, you say yes to everything. And then slowly over time, you kind of learn that you shouldn't say yes to everything. Yeah,
every dollar counts. It's revenue, right? Everybody wants all the revenue. In fact, maybe you don't want all the revenue.
Yeah, that's what I've said in the studio. There's been a few people that we've turned away because I'm like, there's a few signs that I'm like, you just aren't the right fit for us.
Yep.
Like, you're probably better fit in a different studio.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. Like, you should go there and let them deal with you.
Yep.
Because, our time, our resources are limited, and we want to be able to pour into more of our customers and give them the value that they deserve and the time they deserve versus one person taking all the time and then barely spending any money.
And still being unhappy.
Oh, yeah.
When it's all said and done. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you navigate the stresses of entrepreneurship?
Oh, I don't know that I'm doing this very effectively yet. I find relief in the gym, burn off some of the crazy. I like to make sure that I do it early so that I always fit it into my day. But if I'm tired enough from that, then I sleep better at night, and that generally helps with the stress levels. And I do try to carve out some time in the evenings and the weekends where I don't think about work. It's hard. Like, you're laying in bed at night trying to fall asleep, and all you can think about is, the next business cycle or this opportunity, or could we have done that a little bit better? But I think getting good sleep, taking care of myself, water, trying to make sure I eat lunch every day. Like, these are basic human practices that sometimes, we get busy at work and fail at, but those are some of the things that I really try to focus on to relieve stress.
And you were talking about finding that peer support. Are you just reaching out to like clients or like friends that you have, or how do you find your people? Because I feel like for me, that's probably one of the hardest things, which is kind of the reason why we started doing this podcast, because then I get to surround myself with people that are in it and I can ask questions that I have.
Yep.
I've started my own small little entrepreneur group that we're meeting up kind of like once a month to kind of have a round table. And I'm just kind of like, you seem cool. Like, let's get together.
Pull
but
you
like,
in.
how do you find that support and find those people that are willing to pour into you and that can give you that advice?
Yeah. So, I mean, many of my clients have become friends over the years, similar to your experience. Like at Revenue Media Group, one of our brand tenets is, transparency, and we're direct. We give it to you straight. So just over the course of having those direct and transparent conversations with clients as they're trying to build their businesses and their business plan, you uncover, some similarities, some issues that you're kind of struggling with together. And just talking about those, just having a conversation, same thing. Oh, that person's cool. We trauma bonded over that issue a little bit. So I'm going to bring them into my peer group. I have some that I met through Leadership Las Vegas, but I would say the majority of them have been clients at some point over the years, and we've just kind of our relationship has grown, and they've become actual friends.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's been like for me too, is like trying to figure out, okay, I just always feel like I'm taking, and I'm like, how do I like make this worth it
Give
for
back.
you, right? Like, how do I make sure I'm not like wasting your time or bugging you? Because I know how like we're at such a low level on like the scale of entrepreneurship, and then some of these clients that I have are, that they're doing a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I'm already feel like I'm overwhelmed and drowning all the time on this small scale, like I don't want to add more to your thing. And so yeah, that's always been a struggle for me, because I've done entrepreneurship alone pretty much my whole time. Like, I didn't have any friends that were doing this. I didn't have anyone I looked up to. My parents were entrepreneurs. Like, I didn't have, and I'm not a very like outgoing person either. Like, it seems like it when I'm around people, but like I don't like to go in public.
I would never guess.
I hate networking. And so for me, it's hard to like it was always hard to find those people. But when I decided to open up this, I was like, I have to surround myself with more people, because I want to build something bigger than a solopreneur. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how to do that, so I got to find people that do know how to do that.
I have the unique position of I talk to them all day. So it's not just my experience that I can bring to the table. It's, the 6 or 7 other clients that I've talked to this week that have shared their experience with me. So I guess I have a little edge up in terms of the value that I can share, because I'm bringing more perspectives than just my own. But like you, I'm an introvert as well. I would much rather like sit in a corner and just observe what's going on than engage. But you cannot do that if you're trying to grow a business.
Yeah, I think you have to find that support group. You have to find people that you can turn to, because it's hard. I mean, it's just hard, like, to grow. It's hard to hire. It's hard to fire. Everything about this is not easy.
Just slap your struggle right on your heart and go wander into the networking room.
Yeah. Was there anything when you went from operator to owner-operator that kind of surprised you about entrepreneurship that maybe you weren't like ready for, that was maybe harder than what you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, well, I mean, being the operator, I already thought I was knee deep in it, but the level of engagement is so much greater as an owner. Not that you're not doing a lot as an operator. You're still managing teams. You're still, building workflows and processes and kind of moving through the work. But the burden, I think, is so much greater as an owner. You don't really get many opportunities to not be in that seat.
And walk me through your business and what you guys do.
Yeah, we are Revenue Media Group. We are a full service, but I would say digital first marketing firm. So our sweet spot, our specialty is helping startups, entrepreneurs, and nonprofits really launch, grow, and scale. So I do a lot of work with building brands, building marketing strategies, target audience development, as well as the marketing operations piece. So figuring out what tools business owners need to have in their marketing stack. I talk with a lot of folks who are bootstrapping it, so they have to be super scrappy with their budgets and helping them prioritize where it makes sense to spend and where it doesn't make sense to spend, kind of given where they're at in the life cycle of their business. But we're full service. We do a little bit of everything. I've got creative, account management, video production, web development. We do a lot of web and digital work, all of those things in-house, which I think are the things that most small business owners or startups need when they're right out of the gate.
Yeah. What do you feel like is maybe the most like, let's just say they're a newer entrepreneur, it's a new business. What's the most important piece to start with?
Yeah. Well, you need a brand strategy and you need a business plan. I'm always surprised at how many entrepreneurs I talk to that have a great idea, but they don't have a business plan. They haven't articulated, who their target audiences are, who their core customers are, and what their brand is, what the payoff is to those target audiences, because you need that. If you don't have that, that's like trying to get from point A to point Z without having a map or a plan. It seems wild, but it's easy to get lost in the sauce if you don't have a clear idea of who you're talking to and what the message is that they need to understand to help move them towards a purchase decision.
Yeah. For me, that's probably the hardest part about our business. When people are like, what's that customer avatar? I'm like, small businesses, but also not. But like, what industry? And I'm like, well, we kind of work with every industry.
You do, but there's a sweet spot in terms of like annual revenue size or number of employees or even geography that makes more sense for you than others, right?
So that's what we're trying to understand still ourselves. We're still trying to figure that out. Like, okay, who really is our ideal audience? And I think the past year and a half was just like getting set up, getting operational, figuring out how we do this, getting clients, because we know the general direction. Like, we want to work with business owners. Yes, we still have the creators that come in and use our space, but they're not really my ideal client, because I can't help them the way I can help the business owner or the marketing part of the company, because my experience is that I've done this for 20 years.
Yep.
I understand video, I understand marketing, that's what I've done. And so that's kind of what we've built this around. And we did make some changes, because originally I was going in with the concept of how most studios run, which is you're literally just a timestamp slot. That's it.
Rent the space.
And they don't know you. They're friendly to you, but there's no strategy, there's no help, there's no guidance. And once we started building and seeing who was not just coming here naturally, it was they're almost all brand new to creating content.
Yep.
For sure podcasting, but even content, they're almost brand new at it. I'm like, all right, cool. So we need to be more hands-on. We need to care more. We need to be more helpful. And then that kind of shifted how we want to run things.
Mm-hmm. So you're industry agnostic, but the level of sophistication is what helps define your target audience. It's the same for us. Our typical client isn't super sophisticated. They don't really understand how the marketing landscape works, what the Google algorithm is or what it does. So we do a lot of educating in that space. It's the same thing. Industries are all over the place, but where they're at in their life cycle of the business helps define who our target is.
What's your favorite part about what you get to do?
Entrepreneurs and small business owners are so passionate, and it's really meaningful to me on a personal level they get so excited when you get them wins, and you're changing their actual lives, and I think that's really powerful. I've worked for big companies and marketed for big brands and big businesses before. It's not nearly as fun, driving leads for a small business and having them be able to realize their lifelong passion or their dream is incredibly meaningful. That's my favorite part.
Is there a part on the creative side of marketing that you love the most too? Is it the web design? Is it the strategy?
I love the digital stuff and the strategy for sure. But the flip side of that coin is it's ever evolving and is constantly changing. So it's not the kind of thing where you can get it dialed in and just have your marching orders and move along. You constantly have to be watching it. I don't enjoy the creative pieces as much as the strategic pieces, but I've surrounded myself with people like that is absolutely their jam. So they're great compliments to me, but I like the strategy piece for sure.
Yeah. What about Google and Instagram integrating? That's pretty cool.
I mean, it's a long time coming. Google actually pushed out a big update to their algorithm in May, where they're just pulling in AI search results more and more into the search results, so you can get the information that you need without ever having to visit, someone's website, which has major impacts on ads and web traffic. And Instagram is just one more layer in all of that. I actually just was counseling some clients today on what is changing and what the impact of that is going to be to their day-to-day business.
Yeah. What's the biggest thing that business owners should know about this update and this change?
I think it's very tough to do business without a digital footprint these days. I still do find clients every now and again who have managed to exist without a website and a Google business profile, but yeah, that digital space is really important, and you can't take your eye off the ball. You have to keep watching it all the time. Your user reviews, making sure that you've got to Google your accurate hours and things like that are posted. Keeping an eye on your marketing stack to make sure that you're not just using the same software that you did 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. All of those things can have dramatic impacts on day-to-day business and revenues. You can never take your eye off the ball.
Yeah. The one thing that I find interesting about like marketing, and I'm glad that I'm not really in like the actual like strategy space of all of it. I mean, we guide our clients through it, right? But we're really not like the strategist. Especially like on the video production side with like Chemical Media, we're more like the fulfillment of those
tactical
so
stuff.
yeah, we're like, we just help bring your vision to life. I mean, we do offer like our clients that don't have the support, like more advice on how to do these things, but like it really just constantly changes. Like there's no, like you think you figure it out, but then everything's different. And the one thing I find that a lot of businesses I think struggle with is like, oh, well, we did this piece of content and did really well, so that's how. But then they'll do that exact same piece, it's just slightly different, and it will do horribly. Like it won't do anything for them.
Yep.
But they think, okay, because this one, that's the way. It's like
that's not how it works.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like some of it, social media is definitely like spray and pray too. It's like you just don't know, right? Like there's some viral video of like, I think it was chocolate colored strawberries with some song. And it went super viral.
Human behavior. You cannot predict human behavior, right? To your point, what worked yesterday will not necessarily work today. We have a client who we're helping to monetize their YouTube channel, and even just what the video content that they're posting on a weekly basis, things that worked last week are driving lower engagement this week, and it goes back to consumer behavior. Culturally, we are changing and evolving all the time.
Yeah, the thing that's interesting about like YouTube, so like we had a client, they have 2 million subs, I think, on their YouTube, and like that's what they do full time. And we were talking about it, and they're like, what's interesting about YouTube is like I'll post one video, and it'll get like a few million views. I'll post another short that is better, and it'll get no views, but then a year and a half later, it'll get 8 million views. Like it's interesting. Like, and I try to remind clients that like it. I mean, our huge philosophy here in the studio is like, we don't care about views. We want to have the right conversation and try to get it in front of the right audience. Mm-hmm. And those people will find you. And so if you get 30 views and they watch it all, they're your ideal client most likely. And I don't need you to get 3 million views because you had like broccoli in your teeth or whatever. You did some silly dance. We want you to find the people that are looking for your services, that like the way you talk about them, that consume that content because they're more likely to buy from you.
That's your brand strategy.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we teach, but they always want the numbers, right? We want, like people always come in with the original thought of like, I need millions of views. And it's like, why? If you get 1 million views of like people in India, like who cares?
Ours is like 1 week it's people want to see dancing puppies, and the next week they want to see people slapping each other with tortillas, and there's no way to anticipate what the next big thing is going to be.
Yeah. In the studio, we're always kind of changing what we do. Like I like doing the educational content because I think that's kind of what makes us is the education side of things and support. But like I was telling my wife the other day, like I love conspiracy theories. Like I love watching those videos, and there's like a podcast called Ninjas Are Butterflies, and I've been listening to them lately. And I told my wife, I was like, what if we just make like a conspiracy theory podcast, but about podcasting and like a spoof of it, right? Like, oh my gosh, did you hear what happened with the government? Yeah, they're saying that podcasting now helps businesses. What? Right? And like make it all dramatic with the editing. I think we're going to do something like that for fun. But like, I don't know, we're trying to just have fun with our thing. And
That sounds like a fun rabbit hole to fall down.
we don't have much of an actual strategy.
Hope is not a strategy.
Yeah, ours is a little bit more, but I mean, we have a little bit more behind it than that. Like, I think people will find it funny, but it's also entertaining. And we're trying to figure out our voice still and like how we want to represent ourselves out there versus just being like, here's a microphone, here's lights.
Just do a thing, and hopefully people will find you and love it. Yeah.
What do you feel like is working currently for brands out there?
What is working currently? It's always different. Depends on who the target audience is. I don't think that there's any one broad stroke that you can use to kind of paint folks with. And it again, it ties back to the target audience. If you're looking at a younger demo, different things are going to work for them than someone who's an older demo. I have a client who is an orthodontist in the Southern California area, and we are exploring TikTok for him now to see if we can get some 20-somethings in to consider Invisalign. Whereas previously we were marketing primarily to parents of middle schoolers and teenagers. But that's a very different business mix than another client I have who is marketing canned snacks, like they come in a soda can or a pop can. But I don't think you can pick any one thing other than the Google. The Google dominates everything, just the way that we seek out and search for information. The gross majority of folks are getting information from Google. I don't think that's ever going to go away.
Yeah. Trying to think what I want to bring up next. Let me think real quick.
This is easier than I thought.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, so that's the thing I like about podcasting is like we're just talking.
Fix it in post.
Well,
it's that bad.
But we're just having conversations. I don't have to be like, okay, let me go through the script, or like I really want to like we're just gonna hang out and talk, and then we can pull clips from it.
Yeah.
And I'll say this: the thing about podcasting I like is because every platform is so unique. You kind of have to do different things, but podcast clips can go on almost all of them.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that.
And so it's just an easy way to like, okay, this piece of content works everywhere.
Yeah.
Whereas like maybe you slapping yourself with a tortilla doesn't, right? Like that's a really good TikTok one. I mean, it probably works. I mean, Instagram's changed to kind of match TikTok a little bit more with their reels and everything, but like different pieces of content need to be different. And podcasting can be cut up into clips and
universal.
Be on LinkedIn, be on Facebook, be everywhere, and it kind of just works. So I like it for that way. Like I don't have to think too hard.
Too much about it.
Yeah. Is there anything that you want to talk about? Like more promotional stuff about the business and what you guys do? Like any questions you want me to tee you up with?
We do. One of the best ways I get new business is by offering free consults. So lots of times I'll talk to a client and like they won't be ready for us. They don't have a business plan. They don't know. They don't really have an idea, but they don't have anything else. So maybe where people go or what to do if they're just getting started and they're not quite sure what to do next. That could be a good one. What about from a self-promotional perspective from your point of view? Is there anything that is a sweet spot for you that we want to lean into while we're here? No?
I mean, I do talk a little bit about podcasting during these, but like at the same time, like I said, for me, this is more like we become a resource for entrepreneurs, and it's like sponsored by the podcast studio, right? And then just allows us to have fun. Do you like reading any books? Are there any books that you like that are kind of around business? I'm trying to read more.
I'm a terrible reader. I do audiobooks and I do like podcasts on my morning commute. One of my favorite ones is The Daily, which is from the New York Times. I have a couple of 5-minute podcasts, national news that I listen to, and then it comes on automatically after those are over, and they cover fascinating topics. So I am definitely into that one. And then I do like to get news on what Google is information starts to come out, and that gives you a sense of what they're working on next. So I find that valuable in my day-to-day.
Yeah.
But I'm not a big reader. I try hard, but by the time I crawl into bed at night, like my eyes, I can't keep my eyes open for that long.
Yeah, I made a goal to start reading because I feel like so many entrepreneurs read all these books. They all read the same books. I'm like, okay, like
When?
maybe that's why I'm a failure. I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't know how to read. I just started reading a book, The 5 Traits of something. I don't even remember what it's called, but
You'll have to
of
put that in our
highly
show notes.
effective organizations, something like that. So it's about like basically the 5 parts to making your business very organized and successful. A client of mine recommended it. I think he knows the guy who wrote it. It's like a friend of his or a client of his. So I bought the book. I was like, all right, I'll read that one. And then one of my clients has a book called 8 Steps to 8 Figures. And I've read half of that book. I need to actually go back and read it because I'm going to interview him. So I need to read it before I interview him.
Refresher, yeah.
Right? Because we want to talk about that. But I'm definitely a bigger fan of listening.
Mm-hmm.
The problem I have with listening versus reading is I'm doing it while I'm driving, which is great. I'm consuming it. But then I feel like it kind of like leaves me. Like I don't really...
Don't retain it.
There's a few things I definitely retain, but when I read, I feel like I'm doing it more like a study session. Like I pull out like a notebook now and I write down my thoughts while I'm reading the book, even if it has nothing to do with like what they were talking about. Like I get this other idea of like, or I read that and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I have this idea for the business. Like what if we implement X, Y, and Z? So I try to do it more like note taking.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm listening, even if I listen in the studio, like while I'm like editing and stuff, like it's not the same. Like the reading definitely is more like studious, right? That's how you say that word.
Yeah.
I know how to speak. So I'm trying to implement it, but I read like 40 pages yesterday.
Oh,
and I'm going to try to read tonight for like 5 to 10 minutes.
I get recommendations all the time. The last time I got one was for the Progress Principle. That's the name of the book. I borrowed it from this person and brought it home and left it on a table, and my dog promptly chewed it all up. So I bought 2 copies, one for myself and one for her. Kimberly, if you're listening, I have not read the Progress Principle yet, but it's on my to-do list.
Advice for entrepreneurs, something that, because you've been, what, is it like a year now?
As an owner, yes.
As an owner.
Coming up on a year, but like
what
7 or 8 years as a marketer or a marketing consultant.
Yeah, you've been in the industry for
Yep.
a while, but as an owner now, what's like a piece of advice you'd give other entrepreneurs, something that you've learned along your journey?
Yeah, it's to take advantage of subject matter experts in that area. Like as soon as you have an idea, talk to someone. You don't know what you don't know until you sit down and have a consultation with someone. So as soon as you get your business license, before you build a website, before you start marching down that path, sit down and talk with someone and let them help you figure out how to prioritize. What are the things that you need to have in place? What are the things that you haven't even thought of yet that someone that operates in this space all the time, becomes aware of? Small business attorney, operating agreement, all of those types of things. When you have a great idea, you get excited about the great idea, and there's things that you can miss along the way.
What's working for you right now to grow the business?
I have learned that not every function has to be a full-time employee. There is a ton of benefit to just bringing in subject matter expertise when I need it and not having to hire a full-time body on staff for that thing, especially in the business that I'm in. Every business looks different. Audiences look different. They don't all need the same set of things. So being able to tap into, like I said, that subject matter expertise or that talent on a contract basis, as opposed to having a bunch of people on staff full time. We have some, but not everything. That allows me to keep, my financial risk lower, which means I can pass on more competitive rates to my clients, which gives me a competitive edge in marketing myself. So that's something that was a lesson well learned this past year.
Yeah, and it also frees up more of your time.
Yep.
Because that's definitely the biggest restraint that we have in the business right now at the studio is it's me. And I mean, I have my guys that are helping me, but we didn't have any organization. So I've never worked for a different like business.
It's always been you.
I folded towels when I was like
Wow.
16 or 17 at not Bed Bath & Beyond, but Linens and Things, which is like Bed Bath & Beyond, right? I worked there for like...
Way to date yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not in business anymore. We're over there at the Galleria Mall. I used to skate in front of it and then I'd go work it. And that was my only like actual job pretty much. And the rest of it's been video. I worked for a company in town for like 6 months. Then they were out of business when I came back from my mission. And so I've never like used a CRM or worked in a company that did, or a company that like had any structure ever. It's always been me. And because I was a solopreneur, and I'm only doing a few projects a month, I can manage it. It wasn't anything crazy. Like, I was unorganized, but organized enough to do what I need to do.
Wild West style.
But to build a business, we have to have systems.
Yeah,
and
you can't
processes.
scale that. You can't scale that, right?
Yeah, well, and when you start hiring people, if they don't know what's going on or what needs to be done or how to fulfill their responsibilities, then they don't know what to do either.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's something we did. We actually added an operations manager not too long ago. And we did like part-time. She does it for a few different companies. So, we get her basically in office 1 day a week, but I have access to like reach out to her.
Yep.
And it's changed a lot for us.
Yeah.
Like, it's been so nice. I told her, I was like, dude, thank you so much. Because I've never used like Monday.com, right? Like, so anytime I'd open it, I'm just like lost. I'm like, I don't know how these programs work. Or I open a CRM, like they're, like
That's
other
like
people have
live and
used
breathe in that world,
other people
yeah.
have used them forever. So it's like, oh yeah, or like Asana, like, oh yeah, just I'm like, I pull it up and like, this is a whole new language. I'm like, I don't have time to learn this stuff.
Yeah.
And implementing workflow. So like we have project management now. Has been so nice because we can see, okay, what's in the editing queue? Where's this at in our system? Like, where is it in the timeline, and what needs to be done, and who can we assign it to? And our guys can come in now and just be like, oh, this is what needs do.
Common denominators. That's another sticking point for sure, is realizing when you have become the pinch point for a lot of these things and processes, and thinking about how much time you're investing in nurturing a lead, for example. You get that first phone call, they have lots of questions, you have to answer them all before they can consider making a purchase or booking something. If you were to able to automate some of the delivery of that information, how much time would it save you out of your day that now you can take and concentrate on something else that's probably more meaningful and more impactful to the business overall?
Yeah, I think that's the struggle for most entrepreneurs, is how do you get yourself out of the business and to be only in the quadrant of doing what you love to do and what you're really good at.
Yeah.
And freeing up your time from everything else. And that's what has been really important to me trying to grow this business, is like, you know what, like I don't even care about making money. Like, let's just hire people to do whatever we need to do so we can get as quickly as possible to me just doing what is best for the business and I like doing, which is getting me in front of people. Like, let me talk to them, get them to buy into the vision. Let me do the tours of the studio. Let me do the consultations. Let me follow up with clients that are struggling or not struggling, and just have like meetings with them and keep them excited, keep them going. Like, that's where I really belong. Like, I don't belong behind pushing the buttons, or even the editing at this point for this type of stuff, because it's not where the leadership and creativity really is in this business.
Not where you add value. Yeah, and what you need, like when you're first building the business, it takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears from the founder, the owner, right? Once you're established a little bit and you're getting ready to scale, then where and how and to what degree you should be involved in the day-to-day minutia changes a little bit, right? What you need to do to scale is different than what you needed to do to establish the business to begin with.
Yeah, I look forward to that day.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Someday soon.
Yeah, we're moving closer. It's going well. I can't complain. This has been a huge learning curve for me.
Yeah.
Because being a solopreneur forever and dabbling in a few other like side businesses and stuff. Like I told my wife, and I've said this before, but like I was like, oh, give me 6 months. It'll be up and running. I won't even have to show up anymore. Like, I know what I'm doing. I've done this for like 20 years. And then 6 months in, I'm like, we got a room and a half done. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
What happened to me?
I'm like, this is so much harder than I thought. I'm working like 20-hour days nonstop. I told my wife, all right, give me 2 years. Now we're at that 2-year point. I'm like, I feel like there's a little bit of breathing room. We're still not where I was hoping we'd be in 2 years, but it's been a journey trying to learn how to do like a legitimate business with employees.
Yeah.
And
managing people is hard. Managing people is tough. How has AI changed your day-to-day? Are you using a lot of AI?
a little bit. We use it on some of the editing stuff. There's some stuff coming out where like our switchers can actually edit itself. And there's some studios that do it where like you literally just come in by yourself. But to me, that's too weird. Like we like the personal touch.
Yeah.
And like once again, a lot of our clients are so new to this that they need the support of us being like, oh yeah, you're killing it, or like, oh, you're good, or like, you know.
They need that human encouragement.
Yeah. And so even if we use more of that, which I wouldn't mind implementing more of that stuff into our business, but when still keep the human element in here and keep it like that connection. Mm-hmm. But we're definitely using it in some places to try to make things easier. I mean, we use ChatGPT a lot for sure.
Yep.
To kind of help organize ideas. And that's what we've trained our guys, because our guys don't have the experience in the brain I have. They're more engineers than they are like the creative and the visionary. Mm-hmm. For our clients, that we train them, and we have like a few different like ChatGPTs ready to go that they can go into if the client's kind of stuck in directions. And we have a few different prompts that we'd like them to use, and then that kind of helps generate some of these ideas to help the clients.
Yeah. So
they can offer that. Mm-hmm. But we don't use a ton of AI still. What about you?
We use a lot. More and more, and we teach clients how to use it too. Like, you know, you can configure a prompt to incorporate certain tone of voice, certain brand values, you know, certain higher level strategies, and then it still needs to be polished. It's never perfect. Like the robots never do a perfect job, but they can get a lot of the busy work done.
They get you like 90% there, and then you need that expertise. One of our clients actually does a lot of AI stuff, and it's pretty interesting. They do like avatars and all this crazy stuff, and it's just the same thing. It's just like we can get you like 95% there, but you still need that talent. You still need somebody who actually understands marketing or who actually does this. But like the internship people, like the people who are just getting into the industry, it kind of removes a lot of their work.
Yeah.
And the need for people like them.
AI lies sometimes. It's not perfect all the time, and you still need the subject matter expert to sniff out when it's giving you something that's not correct.
Yeah.
That is factually incorrect.
The conspiracy theory podcast I listened to, they were talking about AI, right, and taking over the world and stuff. I believe it was them. Maybe it was somebody else. Anyways, doesn't matter. They were talking about how in the future, it's really just going to be like AI talking to AI, right? Because you have the AI creating the content.
Yeah.
Then you have the AI responding to or commenting on stuff, and the AI is responding to it. So you literally just have AI communicating to AI.
You can tell when it's not genuine, authentic.
Oh yeah, you can for sure tell.
Perfect AI story. Someone I knew well, the team was working on writing a bio for them, and ChatGPT told them that this person was a minority owner of the Las Vegas Aces, and I was like, "What? I didn't know that." And I went to this person. I'm like, "Dude, are you a minority owner of the Aces?" He's like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, "It must be in your Wikipedia somewhere." We went searching, couldn't find it anywhere. But that's a perfect example of it's good, but it's not perfect.
Well, it's like those people who pay for followers on social media, right? And they pay for the comments to happen too. There's a few people in town that I know that have done that, and you see their posts, and they'll say whatever, and all the comments are just super generic, kind of like related, but not really related to what's going on, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just so disingenuous. I mean, that obviously buying followers and stuff is dumb in the first place, because it's like, why would you?
LinkedIn is just ripe right now with I don't know, AI generated content, and you can absolutely tell when someone has a garbage AI generated post. It'll peak and then it'll come back down again. We just have to give it some time. Yeah. Humans need humans. It can't be all robots all the time.
Yeah, I mean, And I think you have to figure out how to do that in your marketing. How do you have that human connection? That's something like when we talk to our clients, I always try to remind them, like when you're creating content, whether it's a podcast, social media post, or whatever, like it's not content. Like I actually hate the word content. I hate like when people are like, oh, you content creator, you do that. I'm like, no. Like, in fact, we're going to start a campaign soon called Create Less, right? Because we believe in connecting more. Like,
Yeah.
Right. So when you're creating your content, you have to remember there's a person on the other side of that phone. There's a human there. You're talking to humans. You need to build connections with them, not create to just create.
100%. It's the emotional connection that actually drives the purchase behavior. Simon Sinek has a great video that's like 100 years old. So if people look this up, I will absolutely be dating myself, but it's called The Golden Circle. And he talks about there are two parts of the brain. There's the reptilian part of the brain and there's the neo-sapien part of the brain. And it's actually the reptilian part of the brain that does not understand rational language that drives the behavior based on emotion. And then the neo-sapien part of the brain comes along behind it and rationalizes that decision that's already been made with the logical language pieces. So in all of your marketing, you have to appeal to your customers on that highly emotional level because that's what actually drives the purchase behavior. And I've always found that absolutely fascinating.
Yeah. And that sounded really smart too.
I'm just repeating something that I saw on a video.
I saw a post that dumbed it down, and it was saying that people will buy off of emotions and then use logic to justify the purchase.
Decision. Yep.
And I thought that was interesting. The way you said it sounded way cooler, though.
Scientific fact, yeah.
Because it is interesting. I mean, I definitely did it. I just bought a truck, and I didn't need it. But I was like, oh, like it's cool. I'll feel cool.
Yeah, makes me happy.
And then, like, once we kind of decided, I was like, all right, well, you know what? Like, if I do this, it's good for business. I
Save
can take
gas
people
mileage.
around.
Yep.
It's an electric truck, so, like, yeah, I'm not paying gas. I'm like, we need a bigger car. I got to put my son's hockey equipment in there.
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, this makes sense, right? Oh.
It's a good decision.
And then I got, when we kind of decided too, like I got a email from a client, a nonprofit that's like, hey, we have a grant for this amount that we need to pay you like tonight. And I was like, it's a sign, see? Like that's the exact amount I needed pretty much for the down payment on the truck.
Done. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, this is logically sound. This is not emotional at all.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, where can people, or how do people work with you guys?
Yeah. So the way I like to do it is a consultation first because we can't come in with prescribed recommendations or approaches without really understanding, we get in deep with our clients and understand their business before we can tell them what's going to work and what can draw their target audience in emotionally to drive a purchase decision. So we do a lot of consults. We'll sit down at no cost and do a consultation with the client to find out what some of their goals are, what some of their objectives are, and then put together some recommendations and budget estimates to get them from point A to point C. So if they want to get in touch with us, they can just visit our website, revenuemediagroup.com, or they can find me on LinkedIn and send me a direct message on LinkedIn.
Welcome to Built in Vegas, the podcast where we spotlight the stories, strategies, and resources behind the businesses that make Vegas thrive. Whether you're starting up or scaling up, you're in the right place. Brought to you by the Video Podcast Studio.